story. I hope I'm saying his name right. Ryan Singh is set to become the first person in a turban to host an English language hockey broadcast. Now, he's been doing this in Punjabi for years now, but he's going to be on Hockey Night in Canada.
Fantastic. Have you ever watched the Punjabi coverage?
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's fun to hear it in Punjabi.
We'll have that and much more coming your way tonight at 6, Karen.
Thank you so much. That's Dwight Drummond from the CBC Evening News. As he says, you can join him on TV at 6. And hi, Pam Claver.
Hello. Well, we have a collision right now. It is on the 401 eastbound 401 in the collector lanes just beyond Avenue Road. A couple of vehicles tangled there. The 2 right lanes are blocked. Now, if you are east on that 401, you're going to find it bumper to bumper from Renforth, pretty much all the way over to Yonge Street. Now, it does bog down again, Warden to Kennedy and the collectors. It is solid through there. That is pretty normal. And then again, solid from approaching Brock Road to well beyond Salem. Now, if you're traveling west on the 401, that was a heavy and slow story from west of Highway 404 all the way over toward the Allen. And I want to tell you that they did clear away that accident entirely that was on the westbound 401 approaching the Allen in the express. So all lanes are open there. It's pretty much jammed as well through Dufferin to clear of Islington. Here, Ontario to Mississauga Road, that's slow too.
Thank you so much. It's 11 degrees, a few showers ending near midnight, and then mainly cloudy with a 40% chance of showers. Low tonight of 4 degrees. Tomorrow, 40% chance of showers with a high near 6 degrees. All right, we are heading to the world this hour. When we come back, we're going to talk to the artist, Susan Margetti, behind the painting that you could get tonight. Go to cbc.ca/SOTS and click on Susan's paintings. The person who donates the most money to our Sounds of the Season campaign today will go home with that painting. Take a look. We'll be back after the news.
The CBC Radio app. Radio on the go. Browse through almost 100 national and local CBC radio shows from across Canada. Catch up on your favorite shows. Discover new ones. Build a playlist of what you want to listen to. Start listening now and pick up where you left off later. Listen live to your local CBC station right from your smartphone or tablet. The CBC Radio app. Free. Download it today from the App Store or Google Play. Coming up tomorrow morning on CBC Radio 1, it's The Current.
Hello, I'm Kelly Crow. There's a growing chorus of critics who want the Supreme Court in the U.S. to impose more scientifically based tests to determine the intellectual capacity of inmates on death row in Texas. That story coming up on The Current.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon, I'm Donna Tranquato with The World This Hour. A committee of the Canadian Judicial Council is recommending that a federal court judge be benched. It's for comments he made in a Calgary sexual assault trial 2 years ago. The committee found that Justice Robin Kemp committed misconduct during the proceedings and damaged public confidence. The CBC's Carolyn Dunn reports.
2 years ago, Justice Robin Kemp was the Alberta trial judge in a sexual assault case. While questioning the alleged victim, Justice Kemp asked her why she couldn't just keep her knees together or sink her bottom into a basin to prevent the rape. The Committee of Inquiry found that and other comments amounted to misconduct and recommended his removal from the bench. Norm Savarin is the executive director of the Canadian Judicial Council.
If the judge is unable to show a full appreciation of the case law, they don't have the public confidence to be a judge.
Alice Woolley was one of 4 lawyers who complained to the CJC about Kemp. She's pleased with the committee's recommendation to remove him.
For whatever the failings in this particular case originally, our justice system takes seriously having a sexist-free environment in the courtroom.
In a statement, Justice Kemp said only that he's grateful for the inquiry's thorough consideration of the evidence and his submissions. Kemp now has 30 days to respond. Unless he resigns first, up to 25 Chief Justices will make the final recommendation to the Justice Minister, who would then refer the decision to Parliament. It has never reached that stage in Canada. Kim Stanton of the Women's Legal Education and Action Fund believes the committee's recommendations may reduce the likelihood cases like this will happen again.
It sends a very strong message to other judges and legal actors, but also to survivors, that this kind of conduct is completely unacceptable in a Canadian court.
Carolyn Dunn, CBC News, Calgary.
The federal government sales pitch for Kinder Morgan's Trans Mountain Pipeline is underway. Liberal cabinet ministers are fanning out across Western Canada to explain why they gave the project the green light. But as Susan Lunn reports, Justin Trudeau had to deal with second doubts within his own party today.
Well, I think there's a great deal of disappointment in my riding.
Vancouver MP Joyce Murray is disappointed too. She has campaigned for years against the Kinder Morgan pipeline, but today Murray seemed resigned.
At a certain point, the government needs to make a decision on what they believe is in the national interest, and this is a decision that's made.
Longtime Liberal MP Hetty Fry says it could hurt them during the next election.
It is something that people in my riding feel strongly about, and it will cause me problems, and that's why I'm going to start.
Two cabinet ministers are in BC today to sell the Kinder Morgan pipeline to those who are opposed. And next week, the federal government will get some help from Alberta Premier Rachel Notley. She plans to argue the pipeline will create jobs in both provinces and help pay for environmental plans down the road.
As we make the transition to a more diversified economy, to one that's more based on renewable energy, we need to finance that transition. We can't turn it on a dime. That's not a just transition. And so I can make that case to people not only in Alberta but in BC.
But opposition leader Rona Ambrose says the Prime Minister needs to do more.
All the Prime Minister did yesterday was approve a pipeline. Now the difficult work begins. And the very people that oppose this pipeline are his supporters and the people that helped him get elected.
Ambrose says Justin Trudeau must face those people in person by visiting BC himself. But officials in the Prime Minister's office say he has no plans at the moment to go there. Susan Lunn, CBC News, Ottawa.
The price of oil is soaring on news that the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, has agreed to cut production for the first time in 8 years. It's seen as an effort to restore the cartel's fading clout and stabilize global oil prices. Aaron Saltzman reports on why that could be good news for Canada's economy.
OPEC members filing past reporters and cameras into the meeting at the cartel's headquarters in Vienna. Afterwards, the announcement from OPEC President Mohammed bin Saleh Al Saada.
With the cooperation and understanding of all member countries, we have been able to reach an agreement.
OPEC's 14 member countries agreed to an overall production cut of 1.2 million barrels per day. That's just a tiny fraction, about 1% of global output. But that, combined with an agreement from non-OPEC member Russia to cut production as well, was enough to send prices skyward. Economist Simon French says it may be a sign the global oil glut will finally start to dry up.
Bring the market into balance sooner and push oil above 50 and towards 60, the kind of level that some of the OPEC producers both want and need.
$50 or $60 per barrel, about double the price at the start of this year, but still well off the more than $100 per barrel of just 2 years ago. Back then, as the market fell, OPEC and other producers continued to pump with abandon, depressing the price even further. With prices now set to rise, that could be good news for a Canadian economy where oil and gas account for about 1/5 of all exports. Aaron Saltzman, CBC News, Toronto.
Donald Trump is promising to distance himself from his multiple businesses to focus on the presidency. Trump's dealings around the world have raised concerns about a conflict of interest. Now the president-elect says he has a plan to address those concerns, but we'll have to wait to hear it. Paul Hunter reports.
Like so much of what Americans are learning about how Donald Trump will act as president, this clue came, as they do, in a tweet this morning. I will hold a news conference December 15th, he wrote, to discuss I will be leaving, as he put it, my great business. Even before Trump was elected, there were questions about how his myriad business ventures could bring serious conflicts of interest were he to become president. U.S. law exempts presidents from conflict of interest rules that guide other government employees, but with some 500 companies in 27 countries, Trump is no ordinary businessman in the White House. Anthony Scaramucci is on the Trump transition team.
At age 70, after having this phenomenal life and this building this phenomenal business in this great tower, he's going to be 100% focused on working for the American people and for the United States.
But Trump's tweet didn't make clear exactly how he'll distance himself from his holdings. Trump had earlier suggested he'll give control of his empire to his adult children, something critics have dismissed as a way around conflict of interest. And Trump is under pressure to agree to a full-on blind trust for all of it. Still, Trump himself is among the first to point out U.S. voters knew all about his business empire on Election Day, and they voted him in regardless. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
The last journey of Fidel Castro is now underway. A cortege carrying the ashes of the late president has left the capital Havana and is heading for Santiago de Cuba. That's the city where the Cuban Revolution began and where Castro's funeral will be held on Sunday. From Havana, Evan Dyer reports.
For some people who've never known any other leader, it was all too much to take. One man said he was a toddler in his mother's arms when he saw Fidel passing in a jeep on his way to take Havana. Now he was watching another jeep carry his ashes in the opposite direction on the journey back to eastern Cuba, where Castro's revolution began. Some of the revolution's most faithful supporters were here. It's thanks to Fidel that these two get a free education, she says, pointing to her two sons in school uniform. No one was compelled to attend this event, although some were invited to board buses at their places of work. The thinness of the crowds surprised some Havana residents. There appeared to be last-minute efforts to fill gaps along the waterfront. In some other places, there was cheering and shouts of Viva Fidel. Everyone we interviewed struck the same notes. Fidel was the father of all Cubans and will live on in their hearts. The revolution continues because Raul Castro is still alive, and after that, the young will pick up the torch. But out of the range of microphones, some also said they hoped things would now change. Most Cubans appear to respect Fidel's early legacy and accept that he started out with good intentions, but many also feel he became too oppressive and dogmatic, and it all went on far too long. As one put it, now we can finally say the 20th century is over. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Havana.
And finally, UNESCO has added the Cuban rumba to its list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The agency calls the dance an enduring expression of resistance and self-esteem. It also singled out Belgian beer and Ugandan lyre music. And that's your world this hour. Your afternoon show continues now on Radio 1.
on the 401. That is very heavy and slow getting onto that northbound 404. It's really solid from west of the 404 to Leslie, Bayview to Kiel. That stretches Creek McCraw, continues very slow to 427, and then sluggish from Dixie over to the Credit View area, basically over to Mavis, and then from Winston Churchill right through to Trafalgar. If you're planning on taking westbound 407, take it easy. We did have a crash there, west 407 in Dufferin. I understand it is off to the side. The Gardner normally slow. Haven't heard of any other problems, but there is a lot of congestion right now westbound on the Queensway at Parkwan. Take it easy and drive carefully.
Thank you so much. And Matt Llewellyn here from the Regional News Desk. Hi, Matt. Busy day.
Yeah, it certainly is, Karen. We're taking a look at the Auditor General's scathing report into the Wynne government's spending, as well as several departments. Now, this goes over everything, including transportation, in healthcare. In that department, the Auditor General looked at one case where they say that a life-saving or potentially life-saving surgery took more than 12 hours because doctors inside that hospital decided to do elective surgeries